I was listening to this podcast and in about from this guy who's talking about like he has a simple, very simple little formula, Eutimia, for like how you like focus on the things you want without like the negative like thoughts getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, these concepts are like being circled in all sorts of different places, but I really loved the simplicity of this guy's formula. And it was like desire plus non-resistance
Like,
equals
where's my notebook?
yeah. Use your notebook. Desire, non-resistance
Equals what?
equals desired results.
Mm.
And I was like, that is so good.
What does that mean to you?
So, I mean, as he was explaining it, and as I was thinking about, like, you know, the last few months, I feel like I've really been on this, like, focus and awareness on, like, the negative mindsets, you know,
Mm.
like those old mindsets that still, even with all this, like, work and embodiment work and all of the healing, there's still, like, all of these, like, negative mindsets, right, that have been on the ride. They've been, you know, I wrote in my journal, they've been on the journey, right? They've gone along the
Here.
journey
They're here. We're
of the
here. It's all here.
yeah, they're right here. And so this formula means like all those negative mindsets for like for me, right? The struggle, that this is difficult, the you know, I was just making a list today, like, oh, like what are people gonna think? You know, like just like whatever these like, yeah, I mean, for me, struggle, difficulty, you know, a lot around like not being understood or heard or valued, you know. So those are all like forms of resistance. So you have your desire, and those are all like the resistance. And so his idea, his like the concept is to not you know to do whatever you know to continue to do that healing work, the support of what those things need, those aspects, so that they are not things that we continue to be thinking about all day. Because if we think about the thing we want, if I think about the thing I want, and then I you know when I'm not being intentional, but I'm just going throughout my day and I'm just like operating, it's often those negative thoughts that are often stronger for me and more those are the ones that are running the show. Like they still are a lot of time. So yeah. So it is like the like note for me, I've just been really like trying to notice when they're happening
Right.
and be like, that's just a form of that's a form, you know, like and how do I so what you said, what does non-resistance mean, right? Like it's like, okay, I mean, I guess it means for me, like I see you, like it's there, like
Right.
let's put it down, you know, like and just that process over and over again. Like, okay, the struggle, like, okay. And so lately, like even with struggle, I'm like, okay, well, how, I've always been in this inquiry of how do I talk about these things and give them their voice without, you know, without the perpetuating of the struggle. But I want to really dignify and give the voice to those parts too sometimes. So
Right. And
sometimes it, yeah,
right.
yeah. So yeah, but
I'm
yeah,
an
what's coming
embodiment
up
of what
for
I preach. I'm practicing what I am preaching right now, actually.
yeah, what are you practicing right now?
No, I'm
I
telling
love.
like for you with somatics, right?
Hmm.
Because isn't a lot of
Yeah.
somatics like all the parts are valid,
Yeah, they
right?
are.
So like to me, like non-resistance means also not resisting the like the bitch that is a resistor, you know?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
my resistor voice, like I'm the kind of practitioner. Thank you, my love. Um, follow your dreams.
Hmm.
Um, I'm the kind of practitioner who it's like the reason I know what I know, besides like all the didactic learning I've done, is because I've lived the consequences of all of it, right? Like the smoking, for example, right? Like I know it does these things in your body because I feel that and I've experienced that, but being someone who's been able to experience that and like cycle through that every now and again. I'm not smoking anymore, by the way. It comes and goes, right? But like I can
Hmm.
very part of the like non-resistance is honoring that it exists,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Right. Absolutely. It's there and like, yeah, like, yeah, my therapist uses as well, the diversity, all the different, parts. Those are all like, they're all the different diversity of all the things that are going on, right? But it's, yeah, what, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, all the giving all the different parts, like, what they need, and, um, yeah, and for me, it's like some of them, they get to take a break, they get to take a break. So, but yeah, the resistance is gonna keep coming in. I mean, lately I just keep having this imagery, like, or a physical form of like, oh, I've been pushing so hard for this type of work. Like, we've talked about this, but like the somatic work, I've been pushing, that's been the feeling that I have as I think about the ways I started my business and I've shared, and I just had this whole, like, I made invitations, but I also had this whole inner mindset of like, people, like, this is so different, like, they're not gonna get it. It's, like, I just was aware of all of the like possible barriers. And like, lately I'm like just setting those down. Like, I just keep being like, okay, I don't need to keep carrying those around, like, it might be there from others, but I didn't realize how much, yeah, how much I was really contributing to that. And um, so that's where I'm at, which is exciting because I'm not I'm just this new form, this new like embodiment of I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I mean, that's my intention is like to stop and to be, and it feels different. It's a different access point, like within myself, to something that feels clearer, that feels like something that I've been seeking for a long time. Um, so anyway, thank you for listening. So a few months ago, I mean, the beginning of the year maybe was when I was first thinking about this idea of, like, me feeling excited to do some like in-person gatherings around somatic work.
Hmm.
And you were one of those earlier folks that I was sharing about it. And you helped, you had the word activation, um, and there was also some like, I mean, I want to hear well, how that was for you when I was sharing it, but I just remember there was also some like cool and like a pause, or like, I don't, like at least given your experience. And do you recall that? Because that's kind of
Is
what
it
I was
funny?
feeling. Yeah, like it was kind of like there was some, and it was like, okay, like if there's capacity, you were being encouraging, like if you're, desiring this, if you're wanting this, go for it. And I just feel like there is something, yeah, there was something. What was there for you? I'm gonna pause
I
here.
think what you're referring to is my fatigue.
Yeah, I mean, that was, yeah, yes,
I'm
yes.
like, as someone who like, so I came into alternative medicine, which I hate that word, by the way. This is ancestral medicine. This is the original medicine. This is the kind of medicine folks all over the world have been practicing forever. And then some fucking white people with their supremacy and everything co-opted medicine like 150-ish years ago in this country. And now that's traditional medicine, which is just a misnomer. So just
Hmm.
for the record, I hate the term, and I don't use the word hate lightly. Hate the term
Yeah, yeah.
alternative medicine because it's not alternative. This is original medicine. Connection is original medicine. Plática is original medicine. Hands-on healing is original medicine. Like spiritual stuff, original medicine. Planta,
Touching your hair, touching, doing these things
yeah,
that
adornment
soothe us.
medicine, all original
Mhm.
medicine, and it's all
Mhm.
and holistic care. I more subscribed to, especially like when I was in my young 20s. My grandfather got a heart surgery, and I was also in Chinese medicine school at the same time. So it was just so incongruent with me, the fact that he had a cardiologist, but
Mhm.
the cardiologist had no concept of his kidneys and like what a surgery was doing to his 90-year-old kidneys at the time. You know,
Mhm.
it was very,
Mhm.
anyways, holistic
Mhm.
meaning that we're practicing the whole, but I also think it's funny or apropos or exactly as they desire that they didn't make it whole as in WHOLE, so it seems whole. They're like, oh, well, let's just call it whole and just spell it with an H. So like people don't get the wrong slash right idea that it's actually treating the whole human, and I don't know what the etymology of that word actually is, but I'm just like, of course, they're going to undermine, and by them, I mean the medical industrial complex slash the cis hetero white supremacist patriarchy who rules it. Of
Mhm.
course, they're going to undermine.
Yeah.
So, all of that said, I've been, I've always been on this path. Like, I was raised
Mhm.
on this path, right? And even though I definitely used a Western doctor as a kid, my grandma would do things, right? And we always had hands-on healing in my home. And I at my big university, I was using my hands to heal the athletes, and they were like, "Wow, you helped me feel better than the training room." And then I took a year off between college, undergrad and acupuncture school, and then as soon as I went back to acupuncture school at 24, I guess it was like a year and a half, 24, it was just like an immediate like my ancestors opened up with these like Chinese medicine understanding. And then there's like a lot I could talk about the connections between like indigenous ancestral medicine of Turtle Island and the Americas, and what are
Mhm.
now called the Americas, and Chinese medicine, um and just ancestral medicine. But I just started a long time ago. So I'm 42 now. So it's been like 20-ish years that I've already been that weirdo who's like, have you tried acupuncture?
Mhm.
Or what about Whole Foods? What are you eating? And people are like, what? So it's only been in the
Mhm.
last like 5, 10 years that it's become something that more and more people are even aware of, much less practicing. And but there's a lot more practitioners now. So that said, I I feel like in my experience, there's so much education. Like I feel like I think I'm naturally an educator anyway, but I've had to be because people didn't even understand the access points. Like you said, it gave me a different access point, and I feel like that's so much of this work is like cultivating access points for
Mhm.
this work. So the fatigue or the I wouldn't even call it resistance. Like the word coming is kind of like exacerbatedness. I feel is like I ain't trying to convince nobody anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yeah.
slowly, but it's like if the people aren't coming, I think your question was like, well, how do we get them there? How do we
Yeah.
get the room? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
eh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
I done my best to create access points and to educate. And honestly, I feel like
Mhm.
the greatest access point I've created is just my life. And like even at a wedding with a bunch of folks I was raised with, in my early 40s, they're like, "Oh my God, what have you done with yourself?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, I'm sure some of it's genetics or whatever, but also like I do my best to eat real food, like without like, and I practice movement, like food, movement, fresh air, connection to my heart space, like all of the holistic things, having learned from Chinese
Mhm.
medicine, curanderismo, Tai Chi, yoga,
Yeah.
um, being in a conscious partnership where I'm
Mhm.
not repressing my beingness to exist,
Yeah.
unlike a lot of mothers, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
folks in like toxic monogamous paradigms that do not allow for like a whole human to exist. Yeah. So it's complex, but I think what sorry, I'm a long-winded human. Um, well, getting back to like what was there, like the
That was all there.
feeling, yeah, it's like, damn, okay, you're asking a question I was like banging my head on a table with like 12, 15 years ago,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
just, eh.
I know. Yeah, I mean that's what I remember. Like you were like, "Ooh, if you have this idea, great." Because I at the time it was like I had this vision, like I want to do like 8 gatherings, bring people together to, there are some pockets and spaces for in-person work, but I was like, we need more in Colorado, more of these spaces. And you were like, love it. And there was just like, okay, and are you like, and the fatigue and are you ready for that and you have capacity to do really hold that space so there was yeah so I it really was a lovely like your response is like a if you're ready do it and you know yeah and I feel like I had heard some of your story already at that point but then there was also this other piece of reality to doing this work at this time so it's been a few months since then, right? And and I was like, okay, I still want to do it. Like it's like my final push. So I did have that energy still, right? I mean, it's really interesting because now I feel like I'm finally just waking up. You Eutimia, this like what you just said a few minutes ago, like I don't want to push anymore. So I'm finally have gotten that, like but at that point it was still like this is my final push, my final like let's see if people are receptive, if there's interest. If not, maybe it's not for me to do somatic work, in this way, in this community, like those are all the things that were going on for me. But, anyways, fast forward to now, into a few months ago, right? I was able to, we had one gathering. The other, to be so transparent, the other two gatherings, they didn't fill. And so we have a gathering coming up, which is really exciting, and I'm so glad that you said yes. And I'm just curious, like, what had you say yes? Like, like what kind of just yeah like what do you see or what do you want for our community for people who in their own like resistance right whatever or maybe it's a different word but to being able to say yes to things like this or to say no if that's a no for people and they're not you know ready or
Just
wanting
ask me
it.
like 3 or 4 questions.
I know, so
Give
what had you say
me
yes?
one. Give me a
Let's just
question.
do that.
What made me say yes?
Yeah, what had you say yes?
Hmm, I don't have a barometer for yeses. They just come. So that is the short answer to the question.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the long answer, I'm gonna give you the long answer by like a little story.
Okay.
A few months after I had my first son, I was again feeling like overwhelmed with the heavy lift of like, just, I have a lot of stuff on my mind surrounding like current events. But basically, it's holistic healing cannot exist in a vacuum of a body because a body doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? We exist as, like, at least for myself, my ancestry is Native American and Spanish conquistador mixed over many, many generations from 1492 on, right? So most, if not most, or not all, but definitely most of my ancestors were some kind of mixed blood of indigenous and European from those colonial times. And that exists a lot in a lot of rape, a lot of classism, a lot of slavery, um, a lot of sexism. And today it looks like hood shit and drugs and domestic violence and alcohol and drug abuse, etc. Um, Marginalized community in America, Black and brown communities in America, right? I can't look at a black person or a brown person who I am compatriots with, if you will, from my hood where I was raised and be like, gotta just eat organic. It's that's
Mhm.
fucking dumb. Excuse my language. Not excuse my language. That misses all of it, right? Just like we can't
Yeah,
say, oh, it's the mom's fault when when the fucking patriarchy fails us and there's postpartum whatever, right?
yeah,
It's complex, it's nuanced, it's historical, it
yeah,
is colonial, right? So the long answer to my okay, so coming back, like you can't just like one day I was in clinic when I used to work at Alchemy Ritual Goods, and this woman came in, a Chicana, and it's like someone from my hood, and she was wearing a sweater of the Catholic school that me and my um family, my previous generation, had gone to.
mhm,
And that was a couple years after all that stuff came out about the unmarked graveyards in the indigenous boarding schools. And like I had this like intense, powerful download in that moment, seeing this Chicana who was about my age wearing a sweatshirt of the Catholic school we went to. Like, oh my God, that's one of those schools. My grandma went to that school. My grandma was beaten for speaking Spanish, and an indigenous woman in that school. And
mhm.
we were all taught all kinds of effed up Catholic colonial things in that school. And I was just like, oh my God, this is still happening, right? This is still happening to our people. And
Yeah.
so it's heavy. It's heavy seeing that. Seeing this woman coming in for domestic violence, drug abuse, alcoholism. And I said, come back. And I tried to explain to her like some of the stuff I was seeing because I see stuff in the ancestral realm as well. Yes, there's stuff in your
Mhm.
body. I can move stuff. I can do acupuncture. I can give you dietary recommendations. I can give you herbal prescriptions. I can give you ritual prescriptions. But I can't undo 500 years of fucked up colonial history in one treatment, right? So I told her to come back and she never did. I still think about
Mhm.
her all the
Mhm.
time because it's so
Mhm.
much. It's easier to
Yeah,
take a pill and not look at it all and not realize,
yeah.
damn, that wasn't okay what happened to me when I was a kid. You know, that wasn't okay what happened to my mom, that she did that. Like none of this has been fucking, I'm not okay. Oh shit, I'm really not okay.
Mhm.
And not everyone can like see that, right? So that's like a whole lot of context. The story, 4 or 5 months after my firstborn was born, I was like, I don't fucking want to do this heavy ass shit. It's heavy. And I went to go see, I don't know if you know him, Maurice. He's
Mhm.
EFA practitioner, throws cowrie shells. And
Mhm.
I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this work. I'm on a break. I don't know if I'll go back. And he just laughed at my face and he goes, you know, your ancestors are laughing at you, right? As in, bitch, you ain't got no choice. Like, you chose this life, you chose this lifetime, this is your path.
Mhm.
So I guess that's the long answer of why I said yes, because I got the yes. And honestly, a bitch ain't got a choice. I've been chosen.
Yeah, yeah, and thank goodness that the chosen and you are here. And I'm so glad that I know you and you're in our community. And yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness.
So here.
Yeah, here you are. Thank you.
And I also want to like name and recognize that it doesn't always have to be so heavy if we also
Yeah.
integrate the beauty and the light way and the flowers and the food and the
Hmm.
song and the connection and the plática
Yeah.
and connect to the
Yeah.
great divine beauty, you know?
Hmm.
And yes,
Hmm.
of course, there's always going to be like grief with life and death with life, right?
Yeah.
And in my tenure as this kind of practitioner, it's really been necessary for me to lean into the joy and lean
Hmm.
into the lightness and like, how do I be this light so that it's not so heavy? I even have a post on my Instagram around learning how to be the light, talking about the heavy spiritual stuff and choosing light.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that that's also part of the yes is like, okay, well, we are both in agreement to like do healing in a way that feels good too.
Yeah. Yeah. That has the play and the lightness and the colors and it's not all so serious and so significant. Like it is and it's not, it is, and we can just, I mean, again, from my therapist, I love her, as we can tell, drop by drop, we can just take in a teeny, teeny bit and there's value in that, I've
Mm.
come to really, really like take that as such like an important message, because um yeah, like there's just again back to our earlier conversation about the negative mindset. Well, at least in my body and my history, it's like that negative mindset has been so mean and so strong, and it's like every time I can remember the drop of like compassion and love and joy and something that's different, it's like that's like yeah, it's a miracle, that those are miracle moments. So I definitely am like, how, I want to keep doing that and I want to do that with others and, invite, and bring it like just be doing that more with each other because as you said, community or others, like we need, yeah, that we need each other for the reinforcements. Otherwise, it's so easy to forget all of that, right? With the news and the media and the systems that we're in, so yeah, this, we could be chatting for a long time, but let's just wind down, for now and really yeah, just really just let folks know, that we are hosting a gathering. We're hosting a gathering, an in-person, somatic skill building and healing immersion in 3 weeks on September 12th. And yeah, and it's going to be so exciting and so lovely and so sweet. And there's going to be some beautiful healing and just some really just ease and simple, simple moments for whatever people are, are ready to work with and can work with, right? And it will be down in Castle Rock. And please reach out if you're interested, if you have any questions. And what else? What else? Anything else that you want to name or say right now?
Mm. I believe that the strongest healing definitely happens in groups, in community, in opening ourselves up to something greater than the individual. And so creating healing containers is really powerful work.
Yeah.
Um, and and it's also really cool when different modalities come together to and see how those synergize. So I'm really excited to see how our modalities synergize, and also just see what comes in the like who joins in the co-creation that happens for the different people that join, because different everybody's bringing with them their own teams and
Mhm.
their own medicines,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
we're going to be working with. So I'm always intrigued and fascinated and excited about doing group healing work. And I'm excited to work with you too and come to the loveliness of a home space and sharing food and connecting in a healing way.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm getting excited. And thank you for all of that. And yeah, for anyone who's watching and listening, whether you've been feeling like you want something for like a long time or it's just like a new, like, curiosity, really like, I have, my, one of my tattoos is this era, right? Because it's like, I've been feeling pulled for a long time and I am grateful that I've been able to say yes to those little moments, right? Choose this therapist, choose this training, right? Kind of go in these directions. So I just want to say that encouragement, whether it's in this space with us or in another space, like, yeah, let's do more of that listening, like, even if it's new or different or scary. Like, I heard uh, somebody, a progressive leader up in Boulder who's running for office, recently say that these times are calling us to like not half step anymore, right? To not like we yeah. So it's like how like what do we need? Whatever we have, whatever's been on our heart, right? Whatever that looks like, to contribute and to be part of our communities more. But like how do we, get out of the, that middle, space or that settling space. So like what does that mean for each of us in these moments, you know? So
So
those
if we
are some
feel
of them.
called, follow the call.
If we feel called, follow the call. Yeah. Yeah. And if you don't feel called, follow whatever your other call is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I
All
say,
right.
yes. If it's not a yes,
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
Yes, no, but if it's a yes, it's a yes.
All right. Thank you for hanging out and connecting today. And I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.